Welcome to the next module, which is all about growth hacking. The first one we're going to talk about are hashtags, and a lot of you guys ask about this. So my opinion on hashtags is that for new accounts, it's absolutely great if you use them correctly. There's a right way to use hashtags and a wrong way to use hashtags. Basically, the wrong way to use hashtags is to put a bunch of general copy and pasted hashtags that you find on the internet that have nothing to do with the audience that you're looking for. Think about it. The people who are going to find you from the hashtags are searching for those keywords in that little search bar on Instagram. So if you're posting NBA meme pages or whatever, and your hashtags that you're using are like for like or for you page, then you're going to get a bunch of random people looking at your account, and it's going to totally confuse the algorithm. So you want to be extremely specific with your hashtags. Now, I've seen hashtags draw in up to 25,000 impressions when you get something that goes somewhat viral. So these can be extremely useful for small accounts. I do think as you grow, it starts to become a little bit of a time waster to use hashtags. I mean, obviously you'll get some extra eyeballs, but once you hit a threshold of growth, let's just say 100,000 followers, hashtags become a lot less relevant rather than the kind of normal organic growth that you'll see from just posting good content. So when you're starting, hashtags are great if you use them correctly. Now, the second growth hacking method that I'm going to talk about is consistency. I see a lot of people start an Instagram and they post for 5 days, and then they take a break for 2 days, and then they post for 3 days, and then they take a break for 4 or 5 days, and then they come back 2 weeks later and they're like, man, this just doesn't work. Well, newsflash. A lot of the reason that it's not working is because you're not posting on a daily basis. Unfortunately, Instagram's algorithm rewards new creators who demonstrate that they're in it for real. And this is kind of a hypothesis of mine that I've tested a few times. Basically, over time, your Instagram is going to start being pushed once they realize that, hey, this person, this creator is in it for the long run. It's safe to start opening up the floodgates and letting them see some eyeballs here. So you want to be as consistent as possible. The next growth hacking method that I'll talk about is commenting something useful on larger accounts. Let's just take this comment, for example. This guy said, if you're reading this, I just want to let you know that your life matters, you're important, you are the only one in this world, and no one can replace you. I saw this comment. He posted it on some sort of a self-love or happy vibe account. And his account is also in that space, which allows him to get all these likes and views, and people probably click on him to see what he's about. Some of them stay and end up following his account. So it's kind of a free way to drive some extra traffic, but it's a lot of work. You got to be early to post on whoever's account that you're posting on. You can set a reminder anytime that, some big creator posts, so you could try to be one of the first ones there. But it is kind of an investment of your time, and you probably won't see that much of an ROI, but it's a great place to start when you kind of are shooting for that first 100 or 200 followers. The next one I want to talk about is buying engagement. Now, this is a hard no. Never, ever do this. This does not work. It's going to actually hurt your account a lot more than it would ever help. Do not buy any followers, any likes, any comments, because there's a number of reasons. One, these random weird accounts are going to confuse the algorithm. They're also going to hurt your engagement rate over time. It's going to confuse everything. And basically, you're shooting yourself in your foot by buying engagement. So this is a hard no. Please never do this. Another growth hacking method that actually does work are collaborations with larger accounts. This is where you see when you post something, 2 accounts post it at the same time. Ideally, if you're going to do one of these, you want the account that you're posting with to be much larger than your audience, because you're basically renting their audience. You're posting it together, your name is up there, and by nature, a lot of their followers who see it are going to end up clicking on your account. Now, you want to do this once you have a base of content built up on your account that keeps some of that traffic. It retains the traffic of people coming to your page. They're like, okay, I could follow this page. It's in the same niche, or it's interesting, or whatever. I'll stay. I'm going to follow it. So collaborations with larger accounts are great if you can figure out a way to get them to do that. Sometimes you have to pay for it, but it's a great method if you're able to figure out a way to do that. The next one I want to talk about are shoutouts, and this is just generally being shouted out by a larger account. You usually do have to pay for this, and you don't want to spend too much money. In my experience, you can get a really, really cheap shout out from very large accounts if you look hard enough. But story shout outs and shout outs from posts where they just repost your content on their account are another two really, really great ways to help kickstart that growth on your account if you have a budget for it. The last way is kind of a custom promotion way, and this doesn't work for everybody. It really only works for like a specific type of creator, but there are a lot of accounts basically that have experienced extreme growth. I've seen one go from literally 87,000 followers to over 800,000 followers in just about 6 months by doing this. Basically, she pays about $400 to buy into this system that allows her to get 2,000 to 5,000 real followers every single time that she does it. And my friend runs this engagement pod, we'll call it. It's really a great option, but it's complicated and not every single type of account works for it. It only really works for kind of like informational stuff that is positive and kind of makes an impact. It doesn't really work for meme pages, but if you want more information on that, feel free to book a call with me and I can talk about it more. Your action items for this week are basically to start growth hacking and using as many of these strategies as you can, obviously within budget, because this is really going to help propel you to be able to get to that level where you don't even need to think about these growth strategies. The algorithm will just take care of you. But that initial spark of traction is really important. Getting your 10th subscriber is harder than getting your 100th subscriber, which is harder than getting your 1,000th subscriber. It becomes a snowball effect over time once you get the traction, and getting that first, push of that boulder rolling up the mountain, that's the hardest part. Eventually it'll start to just kind of flow by itself, I promise.